Why would you be investing into shipping companies in an economy that's potentially going to get worse and there's demand destruction? And my point is that supply matters. In World War II, you had insurers would be like, no, I'm not insuring a ship that goes the channel where the German U-boats are going to take you out.
Shipping stocks in time of war. You once laid out with a chart in a newsletter that in times of war, interestingly, the best performing sector was shipping stocks. Would you mind commenting if you think that could be true in our digital age as well, in case of World War III? And perhaps, if it doesn't bother you too much, look up again the chart you proved your claim with. Your insights are very much appreciated. Thanks. And that's from Florian in Malaysia.
The reason that I pointed that out at the time, and it's a topic that we cover quite regularly here at CapEx, is around supply. So, to clarify, there were winners and losers within World War II. A lot of it is predicated on insurance. So there'd be some insurers would be like, no, I'm not insuring a ship that goes the channel where the German U-boats are going to take you out, right? It's not worth it. So what you had sort of overground supply chains started being utilized more. The shipping routes that were secured benefited, and then the companies that were shipping within them benefited. So there were winners and losers, but those companies that were operating in, shall we quote, say, secure spaces, benefited massively. The point that I wanted to make was this: in a war time, people were talking about, a demand destruction, and why would you be investing into shipping companies in an economy that's potentially going to get worse and there's demand destruction? And my point is that supply matters. So in World War II, you had massive issues. Like, were people eating 3 meals a day? Probably not. Some of them went maybe to 2 meals, maybe even 1 meal. There was rationing. There was certainly less demand for many goods. So you go, well, how is it then that some of the shipping companies did really well? Because the supply was constrained as well. And your cost of moving goods massively increased. Why? Because your insurers were like, oh, no, we're not going to send a ship out anymore. We need to be insured for that. So their costs went up. Your costs to protect that voyage went up. So there was all these other factors. And so my point was around the fact that you can't solely look at demand. And I think further on, we've got a question with respect to demographics in the West, which are not particularly favorable. And why would you invest into commodities as a consequence, whereby you have potential demand destruction from poor demographics? And what I would say is that is a demand equation, and you can't understand the whole picture until you've looked at the supply equation as well.